welcome everybody to episode 1 of Off the Record with Fridge. I'm Fridge, and
Woo!
let's go.
Let's go.
And I was going to say this is a real good one, but because it's the first one, it's going to be a good one anyway. And for those who are watching or listening, I've got the Mr. Pat McFie on with us. Kind of followed him via Insta, dropped him a message, and he was quite keen to come through, which I'm really thankful for taking the time to come through and kind of helping me out get up and started. So really appreciate that, Pat.
Yeah, all good, brother. Let's go, man.
Awesome.
Good to see you out here doing it, bro. Love it.
Trying. Quick intro for the brother, Mr. Pat McFie, former global director of media at Xero. Do you get sick of hearing that, bro?
It's a mouthful, bro. Yeah, it's a mouthful. Yeah, I do get sick of hearing it, but it's a big thing, so I got to let it be. It was a big thing. Not so much anymore, but
currently the global director of design and innovation at Indigo.
Yes.
Co-founder of WeAreManaaki, which is where kind of I come into knowing and hearing about you. For those who don't know, give it a follow on Instagram, because he kind of assisted businesses, him and your team, assisted businesses get through kind of COVID with advice, support. Check out the website. There's a host of kind of industry leaders that help businesses. Interviewed a lot of business owners and up and comers via Insta. And probably, to be honest, bro, without even realizing, man, like you became kind of a mentor to a lot of people, and even to me and my group of mates. Like we talk about you all the time, and
what, in a weird way or like a good way?
Just the boys always drop in, like you always drop little bits of gold in your interviews and stuff, and straight after the interview we always bring it into our group chat and discuss it. But as well, bro, I just wanted to say thanks for kind of shining that light as well, and kind of inspiring people, not only business people, but just people like me to be called to action. And that's kind of the biggest thing that I got out of listening to you and your Manaaki team. So really appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, well, good. It's people like us, bro. That's what it is. It's just people like us. And yeah, I'm just grateful and thankful that we took the action that we had the opportunity to take at the time when it was really needed. It was a hard decision, to be honest, bro. But now hearing people like you give us that feedback, and you're completely right, just oblivious to it. Like, I'm just in my whare in Mount Eden, like was locked up doing the mahi remotely with my team and creating Manaaki. But it's just it gives us energy, and I don't know, man. It just makes it feel like, because it's hard to know if it's working, and so just to hear that feedback and to know people are getting some value from everything that we're doing is, I think that's the greatest compliment. So thank you very much.
No, all good. And I'm probably the last guy that, like, even if you ask my mates, that would probably do something like this or launch something like this. So
cool.
For me to get this far is pretty big. Do you kind of feel like you have a way bigger following now because of all the work that was done on Insta, or is it just the same?
I don't know, bro. Like, I don't really follow the metrics hard. I know that we're having influence. I know that businesses are getting help. I see it in the comments. I see it in the data on the Manaaki.io platform. So I see it there, and like, that's my main thing. I don't really give a damn about the following. Like, I do like the people, but I'm not counting the numbers. I'm just like, we had a lady come on from a social enterprise called Downlights. I don't know if you saw that. It was really unplanned. We had been trying to get her on for about a week, and like, we just got busy, and it was my bad, and we weren't able to get her onto a live right up until a couple of hours before her crowdfunding campaign was closing. And at that time, when she came on, she was a little bit down because they were $50,000 short from reaching their minimum, and it really didn't look like they were going to make it. And so We were in our end of day team huddle for my team at Indigo, and one of our producers said, look, you know, this lady has just got in contact with us, and like she's trying everything she can, and can we please do something? I was like, well, we'll put her on tonight. They'll be like, no, because then her crowdfunding thing closes like an hour before, it'll be too late. I said, well, okay, well, if she's up for it, we'll do it right now. Let's just do it right now. And so we went live with her, we told her story, and there was like, I don't know, bro, 13 people on the live, watching the live, just so, like a real small number.
Yeah.
But then I see this one guy in there that I don't recognize his handle, because you get to recognize the handles, and he's asking some very direct and pointed questions, like, tell me about the machine. How much does the machine cost? Like, what are your options to purchase this machine? I'm like, yo, this guy's asking some pretty specific stuff.
He's keen.
Yeah, is he keen? And so we finished the live, and then like literally minutes later, she messages me, the lady from Downlights messages me, and she's like, somebody's just donated $25,000.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, no way. So I reach out to this person on their handle, and like, without disclosing who they are, keeping their confidentiality, sure enough, it was that individual. And he'd never tuned into a Manaaki live before, had some awareness of the brand. And then so when he saw us randomly go live, he just jumped in.
Yeah.
And he was the dude that came through with the 25K. Another person messaged me after that, like, there's like a dozen people in this live, bro. And they're like, okay, we're going to get some of our business friends to get together, and we're going to get a pot of money, and we'll do it. Get it in the morning. And so we got to within 10K of the target that night, just before the close. And then Pledge Me gave an extension. And then the other lady came through with her mates the next morning, put in another 10 grand, and they reached their target. And so it's just you never know who's watching.
Yeah.
So like, that's why if there's only a couple of people, like, I'll still give it my all for just like, there's 7 people on the live. I'm like, let's go. Like, 'cause you just never know, bro.
Yeah.
You never know. And like, for us with Manaaki, that's our job, right? Our job is to shine a light on businesses, help them to receive the support that they need. And you know, provide them with the information and advice and resource that they need to make it through. So yeah, not really. That's a long-winded way to say not really following the numbers, but you know, it's definitely big on the engagement. Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things I love the most about it is it's kind of real, tangible help, frontline advice that people can put in action straight away. Like, they don't have to wait, put in applications and things like that. And especially during the time during COVID, that's when you need the help just straight away. Decisions need to be made. So has that whole lockdown thing kind of changed your schedule? Are you way busier than you were prior to, or have you just always been kind of a busy person?
Yeah, we were crushing. Our business was going really well. Prior to COVID, we had a terrible 72 hours where we lost about $750,000. Work just stopped. And then it was in that moment that we were faced with a very real possibility that we would have to shut down. And so, like, we're an innovation company, and then it just kept on coming to my mind, like, okay, motherfucker, you say you're an innovation company, innovate now. Like, innovate now, bro. Or are you just talking gags and like take people's money and talk about innovation? Can you do it in the face of a global pandemic? And we looked at the pieces that we had to put together, and like, we knew the pain that we felt. But similarly, like, my pain is nothing in comparison to the collective pain of a small business nation that is scrambling to keep their people employed, to keep their mortgage paid, to keep a roof over their family's head, to keep feeding their kids. And it was the combination of those two things that really just compelled us to act.
Nice.
And so within a 5-day period, we created a brand, sourced a bunch of advisors, got up the designs for the platform, started developing it, and 7 days, within 7 days of deciding to act, we launched Manaaki on the 25th of March, first day of lockdown.
Straight away.
And, and then since then, bro, to answer your question, it has been hella hectic.
Yeah.
It's just been like, I work hard. I pride myself on work ethic, but dude, I've not worked this hard ever. And by hard, I mean not just busy in terms of number of hours, but just like the intensity of every minute on the clock is just intense. And so, yeah, I was pretty run ragged by the time we got down to level 1, level 2.
Yeah.
Like I was screwed. So you would have noticed recently I've been taking a break from the lives because
Saw that. Yeah.
I think it's like 8 weeks of just 5 times a week on the end of a business day. And then once you do them, like you can't just stop.
Yeah.
Like I find myself go sit on the couch and stuff, and I'm just like my adrenaline's rushing, and so I don't get to sleep till about midnight, and then I get up early to get ahead of the day or go train with Monty.
Yeah.
And then back into the grind. But you know, there's some things like you feel like you were made for moments like this, and perhaps this is the most meaningful work I've done in my life. And so I don't mind expending and emptying out all my energy in pursuit of helping other people make it through.
Man, that's cool to hear. And it's quite funny because you guys went live straight away, like you said, on the 25th, 26th, first day of lockdown. But what I've found funny, because we started, I know it's 2 totally different kind of pages and audiences, but when we went live on Faitele Rugby, I felt like your page, WeAreManaaki and Faitele Rugby, were 2 of the most kind of busiest pages on there, because we're doing 1 to 2 interviews a day as well.
Yeah.
And then I'd flick over to see you guys. You guys were keeping busy. Did you feel like at the beginning, had you done heaps of live interviews before, or was that kind of you're just straight in there straight away? Did you get used to it, or?
Yeah, I hadn't done anything on camera for a long time, but I come from a production background. So, and my company was we did a lot of creative work, so I'm used to the production environment. I'm used to like film sets and production sets and helping talent distill their line and deliver their line in the way that we want it. So kind of really familiar with it, but no, I was shitting my pants for the first one, bro. I was like, oh, because what Monts had done was he'd lined up, you know, all these celebrity people, like the same people you're getting on the Petone one, and we're doing like, Artie was on there,
Yeah.
and Artie's a business partner in Indigo as well. But Roger, but with that comes their audience, right? And so there was a lot of exposure. And when we actually started doing the lives, it was people interviewing me about what we were doing. And so like I was, you know, like we were only just discovering what we were doing, bro, and we were only just finding out if it was working. But we had a lot of intent, but we were just short on data to back up our kōrero. So you know, we could have been hype merchants if we didn't deliver. Yeah, everybody. Yeah, that was a strange experience. But just after about a week or so of that, I was just like, we have to tell our own story now. And it's kind of like the same moment that we decided to do Manaaki. We kind of like looked around and says, okay, who's going to help small business? We looked around, like government was being slow, big business didn't give a shit. They were looking after their money. Like, and then we saw a few people making noise about doing stuff. And we looked around, it's like, no one's going to do this thing that's really fundamental, help people get good advice.
Yeah.
No one's doing it. Like, you got to go to business mentors or, you know, RBP and, you know, EMA, and they've got phone lines up and all that type of thing. But who's helping those businesses that are, you know, native to this digital space, like us, like you, like startups, like who's got that reach, who's got the new way of engaging that's really, you know, on point and just like what people are looking for right now. And it's like, well, no one else is going to do it. We know this is going to hurt, and we've got stuff or money left. But if we're going to go down, we might as well go down in pursuit of greatness, and to do something great and to help some people, as opposed to go down like in the corner, hunkered down, timid. Nah, fuck that ain't us. Let's go. Let's respond right now. We just took a beating. We just got put down for an 8 count. Now we have to stand up and let's find out what the fortitude is of our intestines, bro. Is it like weak? Are we soft underbelly, or can we actually do something? And so, you know, the same type of thing with the lives. I was tickling my pants, bro. But I was like, okay. But just like true me, like I'm never really very prepped Like I like to listen. I like to listen and then come back based on what you're saying. So I think that I had a real dilemma around my level of preparation as well. I was like, oh man, I haven't done any prep. I'm like, oh, am I gonna blast this? But and just as I've learned in life, whether it was in a big corporate space or whether we're doing right now, the best thing that you can be in any situation is 100% yourself.
Yeah.
You're trying to be an imitation of something that you saw. If I'm trying to be Jimmy Fallon or Ellen DeGeneres, or like, I'm just going to come up short. But man, I can be the best me that I can be. And that's something that's just might not be much right now, but I'll figure it out. And so I just leaned into who I am and my identity and just be the normal person that you are, bro.
And I think that's what people are drawn to you about, is that you're just a normal person. Like you dress like us, you know, you look like us, but you're kind of big in business. And that's kind of where I want to ask my next question is, and what kind of Manaaki blew up in my mind was that I had this old school thought in my head about what a business person looked like, whether it was a businesswoman or businessman, where I thought it was only a certain type of person that went into business. And then seeing the guests that came through, you had kind of young female business owners, kind of Samoan people come through, Māori people look through. It's all different now. And kind of for me, I was like, man, I've just got this old school thought in my head that it should be, you know, no racial, old white guys that are in business.
Yeah, male and pale.
Exactly. I wanted to say that. I was going to say that. But that's kind of another thing that helped me kind of launch, is that, man, everyone's out there doing it. If you want to do something, just go out and do it. And was that kind of somewhat heartwarming to see like these all types of people kind of blazing their own trails?
It is. There's patterns inside them that the way that they've approached business that we've identified through those talks, real talks, that are similar, that underpin their success. But yes, I mean, you know, I think of Alexia Hebatu and you know, the young lady that started the Girl Boss movement, and you know, but even like the formative stages of Machu Walter's story around 660, and then all the businesses that we have on the open mics, like the young guys that have started their own Wakaama apparel companies or paddling companies, or the design firm from up north that's helping people in their community. And I think the thing is, bro, and I always kind of knew that there was a lot of diversity out there, but there wasn't a lot of visibility for the diversity.
Exactly.
And so that's what I wanted to bring. I wanted to bring visibility to the stories of those people that aren't normally represented. And like, you know, there is a stale, pale, and male kind of stigma around that in the minds of some groups. So I wanted to bust that down, but I also wanted to do it in the next place.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people will probably go, if you're going to do a business podcast, well, you got to do it on LinkedIn. And I'm like, oh, no, I don't want to do it on LinkedIn. That's the personification of that other thing.
Yeah.
And then, well, it makes sense that you do it on Facebook. And we have another live outside of my live that also happens on Facebook as well. But that's more, you know, that's more the mainstream audience. Like, and I just wanted to reach down into communities like us, and like, because that's what we need, bro. We can never exceed if we don't see those examples that take us out of the environment that we're in and shift our mind to other places that we can explore. And we start to see people that represent things that we hope that we could do.
Yeah.
And then and seeing them and being vulnerable about it, like me saying I'm tickling my pants and like, you know, just, and I look like you, and we just like, that's what I think we need more of.
Yeah.
Why do we need more of that? Because what we're doing right now is about self-determination. It's me making a choice about who I want to be in the world, and not having to conform to what the system that I feel wasn't really set up for me to succeed.
Exactly.
was going to minimize my ability to be able to participate in it fully? Or did I just need a different set of mental faculties like memory or comprehension of complex mathematical formula or grammatical structure? And I'm like, that's just not me.
Yeah.
But you're forcing me into that, and that's the way that I have to learn. And based on how good I'm at that, then that's going to determine how far I can go in life. And then for me, bro, business is the hack to that system.
Yeah. That's
how I hack that system. I go, okay, thank you for what I can take out of that. Not much, but there's some stuff in there for me personally. I'm going to take some of those principles, but then I'm going to take my experience out here in the street and with my family and with my friends. And then I'm going to just try and put that into a thing that I can do, be a builder, be a plumber, be an architect, be a designer, be a media celebrity, whatever it is. I'm going to do that for myself because I don't fit that model. And in making that determination to do shit for yourself, that's you like on your way to self-actualization, right? That's you like, yes, I can do this for me. I see myself as this. I'm working towards that. Whereas you can't see yourself in that. So how can you be anything in that where you don't see anything for yourself? And so these podcasts, these lives are about taking us all on a journey into these other places where we can see different versions of ourselves or different things that we can be. And that's why it's important.
And it's funny you say that. I discussed that on the episode 0 with my mates the other day. One of them runs an apparel business in Sydney. The other one's a playwright. And all the advice that we're getting, even when I was researching pods and things like that, they were saying, find a niche, find your niche, stick to it. And I was like, man, why? I don't want to talk to one type of person. Even when I was asking friends, or they're like, oh, well, are you just going to interview sports people? I was like, there's more interesting people out there than just sports people. I want to talk to anyone that has a journey and a story that someone else might be interested in. Might only be one person that's interested in it at that time, but I think that's the benefits of kind of not staying in a lane or staying in a niche.
Absolutely, bro. And like all that stuff that you read, it's best practice based on what's happened in the past. History influences things that happen in the future, but it doesn't write it.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Writers of the future are dudes like you, right? That out there and go, yeah, nah, I don't think I just want to do sports people because, like, you know what? I want to talk to our people, but we like some music. We like to dance.
Exactly.
We like to joke. We like some money. We like our sneakers. We like our clothes. We like our cars.
Food.
Food. Like, can't forget the old food. And like, so why can't we just vibe around that? And yes, we have a specific lens. The Manaaki lens is for small business. But, you know, we don't try and stick in startups and like people tell you, stick in a particular niche, medium-sized businesses, 10 million to 25 million in revenue. Nah, we'll just go anywhere, bro. We'll go anywhere, talk to anybody, as long as it sort of fits that ethos of Manaaki.
Yeah. And did you have any mentors kind of coming up on your come up that you had access to or chatted to? I know that's like I always hear it, they're like, get yourself a mentor and kind of run your ideas past that person or things like that. And I was like, where do you find a mentor? I even Googled mentors. That's how silly it was. Did you have anyone kind of like that helped you through?
I have had a lot of mentors on the way, and on the way up, it wasn't like I went and knocked on their door and said, "Hi, I'm McFie. I was looking for a mentor. I wonder if you'd be available for 30-minute sessions every third Friday." It was you know, people that I came across as I purposefully outworked my purpose for my life. And so, you know, you find people that you find inspirational, that you can learn from, that you esteem because of the place that you're at, and you learn from them. I have been fortunate to be exposed to some really cool people in my time, two of the most influential guys in production sense in my life are both past now, but they were pretty legendary in their industry and in television and in broadcasting. And you know, they were formative for me. You know, there are people that have helped me develop aspects of my character. Because when I was young and when I was stupid and, you know, drank too much, partied too hard, made bad decisions, like, you know, you need people that will pull you up and go, what the fuck's that about? And like, you know, you need to think about these things in your life. So I've had people like that. And then as I've really kind of purposely moved into thinking about a career, because I really, honestly, bro, I can say that I didn't really start thinking about a career until I was in my late 30s.
True.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I was just living out loud wherever. And yeah, it must be about the only last 10 years that I've got serious about it. And that was kind of where I got exposed to some of the big deal people that I've been exposed to in my life, because what I had found is this, like so many of us watching and listening to this podcast, is we have a gift, but that gift doesn't often get the opportunity to thrive and to flourish, right? I was fortunate enough that I'd been able to cultivate a craft for myself and what I did around creativity and moving pictures and motion graphics and imagery. And I kind of picked the move of online video and turned that into a business, and was able to capture some big clients of you know, the sort of highest caliber. And then it was about 2010, 2009, 2010. And I started working with big brands with my very small business. And that's actually where I got exposed to Xero for the first time. And I got to see this other world. You know, we talk about seeing stuff and the environments you hang in. So I got introduced to this whole new corporate world where they actually, they valued my quirkiness and eccentricity, which has just been a Maori, right? Yeah. It's like, you're so quirky, you're so eccentric. Like, oh, okay, sweet ass, sweet ass. I love how you do that. Say it again. So it was, you know, and I was rolling in that, and then like people were like, I know I was a bit of an oddity and had an entertainment value, but when it came down to the work, they were like, holy shit, this work is like some of the best work we've seen. And that enabled me to, 1, build a business, 2, exit that business, and 3, then move into an organization, Xero, which in the last sort of 10 years has become New Zealand's big global business success story, multi-billion-dollar organization now, founded out of a hotel room in Wellington. You know, hacking the free internet off of the Trade Me office that was upstairs. It's like sticking there, trying to get the free broadband out the window. Get the hotspot onto the free broadband, and then so they ran a cable up, I think, in the end, and got some free internet, and that's how Xero started. And inside of that organization, when I came into it about 5 years into the journey, I'd worked with them for 5 years as they were my client. Went inside to start building the creative capability, the internal agency. And that's when I got exposed to a whole world of opportunity. My role was global because I built a global creative unit inside of the business. And there's all up now, Creative Hub, there's about 109 people around the world.
Wow.
And so that was in Melbourne, Auckland, Wellington, Melbourne, Singapore, London, San Francisco. And so building that team, running that team, and you know, getting this team to produce world-class content, brand, you know, that specifically was directed at growing that organization. Like the metric was sales and subscriptions. That was my job, and that was my job for 5 years. So I traveled the world for 5 years on a regular calendar, growing this team, building this brand around the world, meeting and talking to billionaires, and just getting exposed to this whole new, different world. Like, I'm a country boy, bro. I'm from fucking Whatawhata, which is it's on the side of the road. It's a gas station on the way to Raglan. So if you blink, you miss it. I've said it a few times. I used to ride my horse to the bus stop. Like, yeah. And so, you know, getting exposed to that is just another, that opened my eyes even further, and that taught me the principles that we now apply inside of Indigo, that we also apply to Manaaki. So Manaaki is, the brand has become this thing, right? That people has become synonymous with what it actually means, but in a business context, it's about care, it's about giving, it's about, all the things that we're talking about today. It's about people that have had success, business people that are some of the biggest hitters in the game here in New Zealand, giving their time to people like us. And, what I'm proudest of what we've done, practically we've helped over 80,000 businesses now, 80,000 businesses on the Manaaki platform. But what I'm really happy for and most proud of is just the help that we've facilitated from the best to the people that needed it most. And we're just really small businesses. But that is all the outworking of my experience at doing, global brand at scale really, really fast. That's why the brand came up so quickly, just came out like a bolt out of nowhere. It's across every channel, it's delivering a service. And that's how we got traction really fast. And that's why we are where we are today.
And I guess just on small business and maybe around trends, I wanted to ask if supporting your local, it's kind of big at the moment. I know it is here, especially in Petone. I go down there some nights and it's hissing down there. And do you think that's a trend? And like also seeing like Eden Park sold out, Forsyth Bar close to sold out. Really hope the stadium's but he's close to sold out tomorrow. You think this is just the trend? I don't really want to call it a blessing in disguise because kind of lives were lost over COVID and things, but it seems to kind of had positive effects on the back end of it.
Yeah, I think so. I think the challenge for us all is to live the life that we promised ourselves that we would live coming out of this.
Yeah.
And, that's why it's so cool to see you doing this, because that's part of that. And so, but we said a bunch of stuff about supporting local, and it's great that, the local shops are pumping. And I think the thing we need to all be aware of is that we're in for a long journey back. And I don't mean we need to go back to normal. I just mean it's a long journey back for the economy to recover. And, as we do, we get into these cycles of we go in, we go hard, we cool off, we chill back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I think we're going in right now and we're going hard. What we need to be aware of is like when we feel like we're going to cool off and, we still make decisions to support local business, and get out there and get to the games, and get on it. Otherwise, it'll cool off. And for small businesses, for all business actually, but particularly small business, they're thinking like all those smarter people, much smarter than me, are going, it's about 18-month recovery. And it makes sense because we saw a bunch of jobs, approximately 25,000 odd, go in the couple of weeks before the wage subsidy got introduced. 25,000 jobs. Some people are picking as high as 400,000 jobs will be gone. Some people say about 150. But then as the government introduces new projects and the economy gets wheels back up and, redeployments happen, but that all takes time, right? And then, as you know, like if you you finish your job or you lose your job and you're trying to find another job, and that takes a little bit longer than you would have liked, or just doesn't happen at all. Like most of us that are living in tight situations financially, month to month, even some week to week.
Yeah.
Like that will hurt. That will hurt. And so there's just going to be this period of churn while we try to get the engine of the nation going up again and really hissing forward. And but what's also interesting off the back of that is the new type of opportunities that will arise and how people will decide to live their lives is the things that I'm most interested in looking forward now.
I guess on the back of that those 24 to 25,000 jobs that were lost prior to the wage subsidy, I don't want to say harsh, but do you think some business? I got no horse in this race at all, just by the way. But do you think some business owners kind of saw that come in and was like, this is a good time to get out of business, or I was going to leave anyway, or on the back of that question is now 100% not the time to start a business, or is it just this is the time to start a business?
Really, there is no general answer, right? It's all very unique. I can't say this is not a time to start a business because shit, I started a business. So
you're not wrong.
But look, if someone was asking me, then I would say, like, you need to be extremely cautious. And there's a high failure rate of businesses anyway. Okay. And so much of that is due to not enough research being done at the front end of the process. And I'm not talking about going out and doing a 100-page like a business plan or something. Yeah. Like you might write a 100-page business plan that's well researched, and then it just doesn't work. And so that's just a waste of time. What I'm talking about is really understanding your market, understanding your product, and how that product and market fit together. And whether you have an unfair advantage in bringing those things together in a way that builds a whole bunch of preference for your business over everybody out there that's selling, purple widgets instead of blue widgets. Yeah. And so, but you got to know how to hack the system. If you're going in there to be like, I'm going to create a building business just like John next door, then, what's your edge, and who's your market and what's your product and how well do you fit that and what advantage does that give you? When I started Indigo, I needed every advantage that I could get. So it was basically like 9 months notice that I had to give to get out of my job. They replaced me with 3 people and restructured the whole organization after I left. So it was a big deal. And then, but then while I was doing that, I was also finding my first client. I was also working closely with Monty to get the pipeline of new clients coming. We figured out then when Monty calls, people pick up. If Monty says he wants a meeting, people have a meeting. We're like, we found something here. Let's replicate it. Okay, who can we replicate it with? Well, let's replicate it with Dylan. Let's replicate it with some investors like Artie, like Roger. And we found our process that gave us an unfair advantage. And then you see that come to life in the product that we created in Manaaki when Monty, Rog, Artie, Dylan go to work on social media around the launch. And all of a sudden, even LinkedIn turned red, but Instagram turned red in New Zealand. Everybody saw the Manaaki tile. Everyone's like, what the hell is that? Yeah. Job done. And then, Monty and those guys again going to work to create the love letter, that television commercial. And then because of the momentum that we had, because of what these guys had done, like all the biggest media companies in the country literally contributed millions of dollars worth of inventory to help us get the message out there because our intent was so right. So, that wasn't happenstance. That wasn't ad hoc football. That was us having a plan, executing against that, and pulling those levers that we had. So similarly, if you're starting a business, like you have to ask yourself, like, what do I have to do to win? And like for so many small businesses, if you ask me, the era that I learned from my own experience being a small business is that I try to do too much myself. And I didn't build a team enough of a team around me to build a business of significance. Yeah. And that's kind of a sombering thing you have to come to terms with, because you get into business, you think you're going to be Gary Vee or Steve Jobs or Elon Musk or whatever you reckon you're going to be, Jay-Z, P. Diddy, whatever it is, whoever your hero is. But what you don't realize is that there are literally thousands of people behind those guys making that happen. But we're showing a version of what we want people to see. Well, what they want people to see. So it makes it difficult. And so you have to know how you're going to win. You have to know the team that's going to enable you to win. And then you have to be able to, act really quickly to make a plan, then change that plan if you need to, run a bunch of tests and just be really responsive. You can't sit back, go, here's my thing, and then just like chill back on it and go, oh, it's kind of going okay. Maybe in a couple of weeks I'll do that. Like every day, got to be on, better. If you can do those things, then you got a shot.
Nice. I read, and I think you mentioned earlier that you used to be a content creator. And I guess I follow a couple of those guys on YouTube, Instagram, and they're kind of breaking through. These guys are starting to break through on the regular through social media, have genuine careers now in what they do. Do you think that's kind of a viable pathway, or is it just a rarity for people to break through like that now?
I think it is a viable pathway. I think, reach of social makes it viable.
Yeah.
If you ask me what I think the gap is having a really good business model to take advantage of the opportunity when it comes your way.
Nice.
Because right now they're all playing off of the same playbook, right? They're like, get influence, get sponsors, make content, pick the content I want to work with, sponsors I want to work with, to make the content that vibes for me, get paid XYZ amount of dollars for XYZ amount of posts. Like, that's the same playbook that everybody's playing to. What I want to see is, where are the innovators inside of the space that come up with new ways of being able to monetize their talent.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's a cheesy example, but I think a really good one is, like the likes of people that productize their influence or build influence around a movement that is a product. And so I think, globally, who's done that? Maybe Kylie Jenner, their makeup business. Who's doing it locally? Media Flavel with Henny Collective. She's doing a really good job of that. And then you see people like Joey D, or like Johnny Tuivasa, Check, and they're out there doing it. And like, what I want to see is like, okay, like, because here's the thing, bro. Like, I'm old, right? I'm old. So I've been around for a minute. And what I've seen is maybe about 4 generations of talented young Māori and Polynesians in the entertainment space come through, hit for a minute, and then fade away.
Every time, eh?
Every single time. And then when you see the brothers or sisters now, the part that's most difficult to me, and I'm making a judgment about their life, is that it would appear, the observation is that they haven't been able to fully leverage the financial opportunity that came along with the opportunity to build their profile and that level of celebrity that's offered. And so that's the saddest part of that. And I've seen that happen. Like, I think I'm on my 4th time through right now. And so, if you're getting into that space, if you're thinking about getting into that space, think about yourself as a business as much as you think about yourself as a creator, right? And if you want the blueprint on how to do that, go back and watch my conversation that I had with Mua'au Walters from 660. Go back and play that back. A lot of it at the beginning, they were just figuring out. But the one thing is they thought about themselves as a business. And once they got traction, they were able to make business decisions. And when they made those business decisions, that enabled them to have the influence, the power, and now the financial base to do what they want to do. And I think they are an incredible example of how creative and a group of creatives can take control of their IP, really fully leverage it. And so those guys, I just got to have immense respect for them.
I love their story in that interview as well, on their come up, how they rocked up to, I think it was one bar, not expecting many, and it was jam-packed. They filmed their own singles and album and stuff, and that was crazy.
Yeah, all their family did it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to an industry guy, a record company guy, who was like, he was supposed to know what the next big groups were, and it's like, his friend says, oh, there's this group coming up from Dunners. They're called 660. They're playing at the studio. Do you want to come catch? And he goes, 660. Like, this is the guy who was the head of a record company in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Because I haven't really heard of them. He goes, no, come, man. They've got a thing going. We walked into the studio up here in Auckland, and it was packed, wall to wall, just heaving masses, just frothing and just loving it. And he was like, holy shit. And this is the guy that ran a record company, and they missed it.
Yeah.
And so, but like, these guys were out there doing it, but they thought of themselves as a business. And I think that's what innovation around business models, and think about yourself as a business, what you need to do.
They'll be arguably one of the biggest bands to come out of New Zealand now, and I'm
the biggest.
Yeah, I'm calling that Overcrowded House as well.
Yeah.
I still love Crowded House, but what kind of, like, you can't fill a stadium like what is it? Western Springs like that. Like, Kiwi bands just don't do that. And
twice.
So, yeah, exactly. That was insane. A few more questions for you, sorry, Pat.
Nah, bro, just go. We're all good.
All good. I wanted to ask you, I was always intrigued around this thought, education versus street smarts. And the first time I heard this idea was around that friggin' Trump guy when he had his show, and they had a group that was educated, had their degrees and all that, and then a group that just learnt business from doing it themselves, which they called street smarts. What's your kind of, like, I was big on street smarts because basically I'm the only one not to go through uni in my family. So I was like, I'm really pulling for the street smart side. But now I'm kind of feeling that kind of education would have come in handy in the career that I'm in at the moment. Do you have a feeling on kind of what you might prefer around that? Like, I'm not expecting you to say I definitely don't go to uni.
I can only speak for the choices that I'm making around my life and the lives of my family and my kids. And I think we're all different, we're all wired up in a different way. And I think the thing that really matters, bro, is finding your purpose in life. Yeah. And then living into your purpose. And then deciding which route you need to go down to fulfill that purpose. If that purpose requires some formal education, like you want to be a geneticist, then off to university you go, my friend. But if you want to be a music mogul, or if you want to be a business person of some description, that doesn't really require, like, you can't learn entrepreneurship in a course. You can learn principles of entrepreneurship as observed by people that, have done it before, or may have not done it before. But, it's really down to, what do you want to do? Like, what's your purpose in life? What is it? And I think that's what we lose sight of. We think about, is it school, or is it the street? Or we think about, is it a career? Or, I just think about, like, we're thinking about the wrong thing. We're focusing in the wrong place. I think the question is, what is my purpose in life? Why was I put on this planet? And so what I've said to my 11-year-old, I said it a year ago. I said to him, look, Daddy doesn't care about your marks at school. I really don't. Like, what I care about is you finding your purpose in life. And if that takes you a while to find your purpose, then, Mommy and Daddy will support you for as long as it needs to be until you find that. And if you don't find that for a long time, that's also okay, right? And so I don't really care about school and all that type of thing, but my kids are in multi-medium education because I want them to have the gift of our language and our culture that I don't have. But then that's the only thing I want from school. Like I can teach you accounting, I can teach you money, I can teach you my version of English. And so, but what's really important, son, is you find your purpose, and we'll always be here to back you in that. And so we have conversations about purpose, not about courses, not about education, purpose.
Nice. I wanted to ask one question, and it is quite kind of topical at the moment with everything that's going on in the world, just around, I guess, racism and stuff. But I wanted to see if you'd had any experiences in maybe previous workplaces or just in the professional environment where something's kind of slid under maybe not as a direct go or anything like that, but maybe you just heard something in a professional environment. You're like, hey, hang on a minute, it's just low-key racist, even if it was a joke or anything like that. Have you ever experienced that as a Māori man in kind of a professional environment, and maybe how you might have dealt with things like that, if at all?
Yes, frequently, my whole life, professional and non-professional, as every Māori and Polynesian person listening to this podcast would have also experienced. We know that. I always call it out. I don't care. I always call it out. Could be to my detriment, but you know, the standard you walk past is the standard you accept.
Yeah.
And so I am accepting that in my life for me. So if that's racist, I'm like, yo, that's racist.
Yo.
What? I said, you're being racist. You're racist. Like, what the? Like, I remember, you know, there have been times in my life where I haven't called it out, and it just made me so flipping angry at myself, like, for not calling it out. And then so from that time, I just always call it out. You know, I definitely am always like, it's the way that I call it out is centric to the situation that I'm in.
Yeah.
So I like, you know, it ain't like at the pub, yo, fuck you fucking racist, blah, 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 blah. But if it's in a corporate environment, and I'll be like, I just need you to rerun that comment that you just made there.
Yep.
Harry, when Harry met Sally at this meeting, and that I found that comment really offensive, and I actually think it's racist.
And like I still talk to people in professional environments who still go through that kind of experience, and they're like, "Excuse me, what did you say?" Like, it's unbelievable how often it happens. I was a bit different because I'm a joker by trade, like not by trade, but I'm an absolute clown. I always used to see the joke in it first, and then it wasn't until probably the last 3, 4, 5 years. And I'm like, nah, man, it's not cool anymore. Like, I'm old. I guess I'm a bit wiser. Took a while, but when I spoke with our friends, when this all popped up, and I spoke with my friends, I was like, look, I'm not standing up for myself. I'm standing up for people, because I always bite back now, and like I just feel like I'm standing up for people who don't have a voice or just let it slide.
Absolutely.
And I guess it's just the time to bite back now.
It's a unique time, right? It's a unique period in the course of our life that will always be written in history, and people will go back and talk about and study, and it will hopefully become part of curriculum. And you know, it is reshaping the world right now, and how we discuss and address the inequities and the inequalities that have been served up against minorities, particularly blacks. You know, black lives in the United States for just decades and decades and decades of oppression. And so, you know, on top of that, we've just come out of this extended period in lockdown, and it's still going around in places of the world. You know, the first real global pandemic that stopped the world.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we're in this heightened state right now. And when we talk about, you know, the changes and the opportunities for change, surely the biggest ones must be in our social systems, in the hierarchical systems of society, where now, you know, if you look back on all of the big revolutions that have happened around uprisings of people at ground level that just had enough of the royalty of the Roman Empire, or whatever the governing body was over people at that point in time. You know, it's a number of circumstances converged at the same time to create this catalytic event, and that's what we're seeing right now. That's what we're part of. We're part of that right now, and it's an inspiring part of history to be a part of right now. But it's like, what are we going to do with it? What are we going to do with it right now? You know, we saw the stabbings that went down in Auckland, outside the school. We saw the police officers get shot right at the end of the trial of, arming the frontline police. And so there are a number of things happening right now in our world that are converging in some just huge decisions that we have to make as humanity, as the human race. And I think that if we can all just start with our own self-awareness and to understand, like, don't laugh these things off right now. Don't sweep these things under the table.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't make it somebody else's deal to deal with. Like, have some awareness, have some reflection. Ask yourself where you stand on these matters, and if you will stand for those matters, and and then make that stand, and then we can see some really big change happen if we're purposeful about it.
Nice, I love that. I guess just to change it up a bit, I wanted to ask about highlights, or maybe not highlights, but just cool stuff that's happened in your career. Because you've worked for some cool companies. I mean, you're involved with some cool people right now. Not everyone has access to these sports people and high-profile people. What's kind of some of the cool things or the cool people that you've met over your time?
I think the coolest person I've ever hung out with was Shaq.
Oh, serious?
Yeah, it was. I was a youngster, but it was back in spring break in Hawaii, and the Lakers were in their spring training camp in Hawaii, and it was also the launch of a sports cafe that Joe Montana was because he was big back then, was a partner, and so we were out. This is just by chance. We were out one night, and we were standing in queue to go into this club, and to go up this set of steps, and it's kind of like on a mezzanine level over a courtyard, and I just turned to my right, and about 100 meters away, or maybe 75 meters away, just coming around this mezzanine, I just see the biggest human I've ever seen in my life. Just this giant black demigod just strolling around the top of this mezzanine. And then the line starts moving that we're standing in, and then he starts getting closer. And then I have this realization that, holy shit, this line keeps on moving like this. He keeps on moving like that. We're going to hit the top of the steps as he's walking past. And I'm like going, and I look at my mates. I say, follow me, boys, follow me. Let's just be cool, be cool. I grabbed them. Sure enough, just as we walk up, him and his entourage walk past. And so I just step into the middle of their entourage because the bouncers couldn't see. I pull my two mates in. I was just like, be cool, be cool. So we try to do our toughest, staunchest walk. And then the bouncers parted. They ushered this whole entourage of Shaq and his crew into the VIP lounge. And then they kicked everybody else out of the VIP lounge. Bar this one dude who ended up being this Hawaiian real estate mogul. And so they kicked everybody out. And there we are, three Maori boys, this Asian Hawaiian real estate mogul, and Shaq in all his entourage. And then so we look around, and then Shaq's sitting at this round table, bro, and he's taking up like half the table. Like, holy heck, what's going on here? And the boys like, should we ask for his autograph? I was like, dude, if you do that, everyone's going to see. Then everyone's going to know. Yeah, let's let's just chill and then just see what happens. So anyway, they put on this. They had like a TV, on a wall-mounted TV. They put on karaoke, bro, and Shaq starts the most bizarre scene of my life. He starts singing that "You've Lost That Loving Feeling."
Oh yeah.
I don't know, it's like Isley Brothers or something like that. You have lost that love. Yeah. He starts singing that on karaoke, bro. Like flat as a panekeke, can't sing, and like all his boys are like hooping and hollering. We look at his boys, and then we go, "Holy shit, that's flipping Nate Dogg!"
Oh,
and then,
what?
Nate Dogg's in the room. We go, holy crap. You remember for the WWF wrestling, there was that bold guy Zeus came out with the bang eye? Zeus was in there, tiny. And they were all in the room, and we were just like flipping out. And then we just went over, sat on like all the peripheral tables, started talking to their crew, finally got to talk to Shaq for a little while. Hey guys, what you guys doing here? And I was like, we snuck in with your group. It was like, oh, okay, man, that's really cool, bro. Where are your boys from? And he just had this real good tourist conversation with us. They eventually left. We stayed and got free drinks from the real estate mogul who thought we were Shaq's friends for the rest of the night.
Bro, that's a sweet story, man.
Oh yeah, so that's that. I mean, that's a cool cool dude that I got to meet. I meet lots of cool business people around the world, but like not really too many people that people would like know of. I've got to work with cool lady like Victoria Ransom when she was starting her company. She's a lady out of Palmerston North and went over and did university in the United States, sold it, created a company called Wildfire, sold it for about 260 million US to Google.
Wow.
And I sort of did some work with her company early on, a little bit of work there. It was cool to see that. You know, being into all the big places, like when you go into Googleplex and YouTube and all those places, and you know, it's an eye-opener, definitely rocks your world. But I don't know, been some places, bro, seen some things, like maybe when we got some beers, I'll tell you some other stories that aren't so PG.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. I guess I'll ask you one more question. I've got a few kind of funny questions to ask, but I just wanted to know, are you the kind of guy that just has no regrets? Everything's kind of a lesson or things like that? Or do you have any regrets from your career or things that you would have changed coming up?
Do I have regrets? I don't. Like, there are things that I know, like I've regretted for a moment, but they've all become just formative learning experiences. They have to. But you know, I regret a lot of the dumb things that I did when I was young. Like I regret a lot of those dumb things, like just harebrained schemes or just following people like without thinking about where it was taking me, and you know, hurting people that I loved, and like just doing bad, dumb, young shit, just like immature shit.
It's crazy,
So,
like when you look back and just think, man, I'm a different person. Well, I have a different brain.
yeah, bro. Like, in just the same, you know. And I just think about the people that, you know, I've hurt through my actions in the past, and I regret who I was at that time. But I know I'm not that person anymore, and so, you know, just that forgiveness of yourself. If you can't find that person to ask for forgiveness, then you have to forgive yourself. And so, you know, those are the type of things in business. Like, you know, I've failed multiple times, but you have to learn from that. And you know, I learned all those things to get to the place that I am in today, and we're in a really good place despite COVID. You know, our business is thriving. We've had a couple of the biggest months that we've ever had in our business, just because of the way that we've dealt with this whole situation. And you know, that's only as a factor of everything that I've learned along the way. And like taking that learning and bringing it to the front of your mind every day. Like, don't make the mistake and go, oh yeah, shit, that was that thing that I thought I wasn't going to do anymore. That's dumb. Like, you one of the practices that I have is that I just keep this real-time account of everything that I learn and how I apply it throughout the course of the day. So as I'm faced with challenges and people are asking me questions, I'm asking questions of myself. And so what I'm trying to tap into is everything that I've known, plus everything that I've recently learned, and then bring that experience to the situation and then try to innovate on top of that. But I do that in real time at the front of my head. Like, it's not stuff that's stored up in the back. Like, I live here, I don't live there. So I'm right here. And so that's the way that I process, that's the way I go about what I do every single day. And it just helps me to be better.
I like that. Appreciate that. It's funny when you bring up kind of maybe who you were in the past, because I was thinking about myself then, and bro, me as 18, 19-year-old, I was especially when I'd go out maybe a few drinks with the mates, I was an absolute dickhead. And so when friends bring up those times now as a joke about the things that we used to do back then, I'm embarrassed. I hate hearing those stories, and but again, that just, for me, it just makes you who you are. The learning points. I probably wouldn't, if I didn't grow from that, I wouldn't be the person I am today, you know, to kind of around that stuff.
It all shapes you, eh?
Yeah, exactly. But just quickly to finish, Pat, I want to go on the record with a few kind of light-hearted questions. So we'll see how creative you get with your answers here. So they're just stupid questions, really. But what movie could you watch over and over again and not get sick of?
Heck, you know, that's not a stupid question. That's like a serious question, bro.
It's pretty deep if you think about it, though.
Yeah. The Pursuit of Happiness.
Oh, great movie, man.
Yeah. I'm reminded of that man's conviction to do whatever it takes to get him and his son out of that bathroom toilet and to live it like he would do anything. And that's how hungry I want to be every day of my life. So I would watch it over and over again just to remind myself, yo, actually, you've been there. Let's remember what this is all about. Let's greet this day like it's that day and go after it.
And what I liked, everyone talks about the bathroom scene there, but just how they portray rock bottom and the desperation there. That's what I loved about that. And it's good to see him come through.
Yeah, we can all relate to that situation. You know, we've got moments like that in our lives. But the thing is that there's not very many stories that tell you about the bounce back.
Yeah.
You know, and so I love that. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to go and watch that right after this chat.
Yeah. And I think everybody needs it. Everybody needs a picture in their mind that's going, I'm never, ever going to go back to that moment again. And then that determines your drive, I think anyway.
Yeah. I'm going to take what drove him in that moment, what drove me in that moment.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story, bro. There was a point in my life where I was young, and it's just one of the young and stupid things that I did. And I'd started like a painting and decorating business. Like I was in my early 20s. And like the contractor that we were contracted to, they went under. And I had a bunch of boys, and we were doing the work in South Auckland on state houses and stuff. And so my business went under. And like I basically lost everything, like my partner at the time, our apartment, like everything. And I should have gone home. I should have gone home back to my mum, like down in Whatawhata. But I didn't. My pride was too big. And so I had one van, and I lived in my van for about 9 months, basically just sleeping in the back of my van. One day the van got robbed. This is like with those bone density scanners. One day I was out, and the van got robbed, and like all my blankets and shit got taken. And they only left one of those big zip-up carry bag things. It just so happened that night was freezing, bro, and I had like no blankets, no nothing, like some cardboard boxes like folded up to make a pillow. But then I was so cold, bro, I had to zip myself up in that bag. And then so I had no money, and you know, there was the unemployment benefit stand down period, and I was just flipping starving, bro. I was hungry, and at that point, I hadn't eaten for like about 3 days or something. And it just happened that Pacifica was on in Auckland. and so I went to Pacifica, bro, and I stood outside the corned beef stand for like about 25 minutes, 30 minutes, just going up and getting like those little tomato sauce thing size samples of corned beef and just eating those, bro, because I hadn't eaten in a couple of days, and just smashed those. And like, but that was tough. Yeah, that was tough, bro. And that was a formative part of my life, but it was also a stupid thing to go through. So I know that moment in the bathroom resonates with me. That bathroom is my van, you know, and I know what the bottom looks like. We all do, and we know what it feels like. But to have that pattern that goes, okay, but this is what you can do if you stay in it, if you're smart, if you use that, do this, go, hustle hard, you can come up again. And my story is a little bit like that story, and that's why I love that movie. Nice.
Thanks for sharing that. Kind of makes the rest of these questions real silly, but If you were a ghost, how would you haunt?
If I was a ghost, how would I haunt? Like something really macabre, you know?
Yeah.
I would appear to you as your greatest fear. And I would just like speak into your brain. Like I would psychologically just want to paralyze you.
Oh, so you're
I
just going to
would
be a real scary ghost.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be like, I know I'm gonna be like one of those, just like what's that one, the like that Asian movie with the little girl with the long hair
Oh,
and the
yeah,
black
yeah.
thing? Yeah. I would just appear to you kind of like that, but as whatever your biggest fear in your life is,
Yeah.
the thing that actually just cripples you, and that's how I'd haunt you. I'd haunt you with yourself.
Sure. See, I'd probably
fucked up, bro. I'm like, oh shit.
Like, I'd probably do stupid stuff, like to my mates, like take one of their shoes off every pair and just hide them around the house and stuff. But yeah, you can put people into a mental hospital. Best concert you've ever been to?
I mean, Michael Jackson was something when he came here.
Wow.
That was amazing.
That was Auckland back in the 90s, was it?
Yeah, that was Auckland back in the 90s, things like 95 and 96. That was really cool. As a young man, MC Hammer was awesome. Yeah.
I had Hammer pants.
Yeah, I had Hammer pants too. One of my cousins, if you're watching this, Junior MacArthur, now one of my bros, Junior MacArthur, was like, yeah, let's go. We all bought our tickets. We got up there. Old Junior didn't have a ticket, bro. We got to the gate. We're like, bro, where's your ticket? He's like, oh, I didn't get one. I was like, why'd you come to Auckland if you didn't get a ticket? Because we lived in Hamilton. So we all chipped in all our money that we had to like buy food and stuff to get old Junior MacArthur a ticket. And then it was like, okay, we all had the concert. It was all good. Then we were waiting for Junior's cousin to come pick us up because he lived on Dominion Road. We're out of Mount Smart, like right at the city in the Dominion Road. And we're like, when's your cousin coming? And we're like, oh, I didn't tell them. They said we have to walk. Bro, do you know how far that walk is? It took us like 3.5 hours to walk back to his cousin's house, bro. That's what I remember about Hammer. That and Crazy Bones guy, he was insane. But that was another real cool concert. Concert I regret not going to was Prince. Every single day of my life.
Yeah, he's one of the goats out there in music. Like,
absolutely,
musically, the way he plays instruments. There's some real cool clips of him online as well.
Yeah, like those two guys, like Prince and Bob Marley, are bigger for me than Michael Jackson. You asked about concerts.
Yeah. What's something you're interested in that most people wouldn't expect?
Oh, I don't know, man. I'm trying to think. I play a lot of Fortnite with my kids.
Yeah.
And I'm really bad at it, but I feel like I could get better. Like I honestly feel like I could be good. But now that we're into like second chapter, season 3, and nothing's improved, I feel like I may be slightly deluded. But I like doing that. I don't know what the thing is that people wouldn't expect. I don't know. When I was clawing my way back from being like living in my van, I did spend a year just making a living from playing blackjack.
Nice. Making a living.
Yeah. Well, that was the only living I had because I was living in my van. And I started on the $5 tables and learned the basics of counting cards.
Yeah.
And then just would hang about and put in the work. But like after it was close to a year of that actually, that I figured out I was probably earning about, like I'd win big some nights, lose big other nights. I was probably earning about $700 a week.
Yeah.
And like, but you know, you had to work like 14 hours a day to like get that. And I was like, nah, I think there's better things I could be doing right now. I'm over the adrenaline rush.
If your life was a book, what would the title be? The LG stuff.
What would the title be? Something like Live Out Loud.
That's a goodie.
Mm.
And very, very last question, Pat. Who do you feel like you know, even though you haven't met them?
You before this call. I don't know. I had this weird thing in my life. I just imagine if I could decide that I wanted to meet you, I could. And like, if I just could decide that I wanted you to be my friend, you could. And I guess that's kind of really creepy when you think about my ghost story as well. Stalkerish. But who do I feel like I know that? I don't feel like I know. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I know like people that I think I would vibe with. Like, I think I would vibe really well with AOC. You know, I'm a big fan of AOC.
Yeah.
I think she's cool. I think I would like. I think her and I would be people. We share the same social consciousness. But then you meet those people and you find that they're just like so much more intense than what you had initially expected. And it's kind of like, oh wow, you just short wired my thoughts about who you were. Maybe I don't want to know you.
It's like that classic adage, like never meet your heroes or something like that, eh? Or,
yeah. But I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't like. Life throws people your way, you know, and whether you want to get to know them or not is kind of up to you. And you meet some people and you just feel like you're being lifelong friends already, or you share a connection. And that's one of the things that I kind of get from people. I try to like, 2 or 3 people every year I try to connect to that. It's my intent to have a lifelong connection to them, and just to have those people add value to my life and the lives of the people around me.
Nice.
Dumb answer.
It's all good. Well, Pat, that's pretty much me, and that's pretty much episode 1 done. I can't wait till we get to maybe episode 100. I'll have you back on then, and we'll see how far we've come.
We should just do like the reunion show. We should just, like, get a whole bunch of people in like they do at the end of those reality TV shows. Like, yeah, this is what happened. Wow. Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me, bro. It's been a blast, and just really happy for you, Fridge. Just like see you out here doing it, bro. It's awesome, and I hope people take a lot of inspiration and courage for their own journey from what you're doing. So yeah, keep on doing it, brother.
Appreciate it, bro. And like I said, appreciate your time. Again, I feel like I had no business chatting with you today, but it was all good. It was good fun.
It's all good, man. Great way to start a Saturday, right?
Hard. Now I've got to go to rugby and coach these bloody under-21s boys.
Well, let's go. Let's go, team. Who are you playing today?
We are playing against our rivals, Huddle Boys Marist.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Does the biff still happen?
Oh, yeah. On the lower down the grades you go, it definitely happens.
Still some biff. Yeah.
The higher you are, it's kind of more important that you win, but there's always those kind of at the bottom of a rack, cheeky jab kind of ones, yeah.
Bring back the biff, eh? I quite miss the biff.
Yeah, so do I, especially in league.
Yeah.
But for my 2 or 3 followers out there, if you're not following WeAreManaaki, get on it, Instagram.
Let's go. All 3 of you. We expect to see you. That's the bros from episode 1 plus your mum, or what?
Yeah. Cheers, everybody.
Please stand by.